The colossal arena sprawled for miles, its sandy surface stained crimson. Emperor Thaskmore observed from his opulent throne as the massive gates swung open, revealing 100 diminutive figures blinking in the harsh sunlight. They possessed azure skin and 4 limbs, moving in hesitant clusters like startled wildlife. Thaskmore, a creature of immense reptilian form, shifted on his throne. The light from 3 suns glinted off his scales, his golden eyes tracking every movement below. Today marked his grandson's inaugural hunt. Prince Vector would demonstrate his inherent predatory nature. "Unleash the hunters," Thaskmore commanded. 10 young Karathi aristocrats descended from the arena walls, each towering 12 feet tall with razor-sharp talons and dagger-like teeth. Their scales, darker than the Emperor's, signified their status as the next generation of apex predators. They moved with a lethal grace that had secured the Karathi dominion over countless worlds. Prince Vector spearheaded the group, his electromagnetic senses detecting the palpable fear emanating from the prey. He savored their terror in the air, heard the frantic thrumming of their hearts, and caught the scent of their apprehension. This was the essence of being Karathi, of occupying the pinnacle of the food chain. The blue creatures attempted escape, as they always did. Some scaled the arena walls, others huddled in the center. A few sought refuge behind scattered rocks. It was futile. There was no sanctuary. Vector lunged at the nearest group, his talons effortlessly tearing through soft flesh. Their screams only fueled his exhilaration. Across the arena, the other young predators reveled in their sport. Some toyed with their victims before delivering the final blow. Others dispatched them swiftly, all of them delighted in the act. "Exemplary technique," remarked War Commander Zathar, standing beside the Emperor's throne. "The prince displays significant potential." Thaskmore nodded. He was born for the hunt like all true Karathi. In the arena, the last of the blue creatures fell. The young nobles roared in triumph, their voices echoing off the walls, and the throng of Karathi spectators roared back. This was their custom, their immutable tradition. The galaxy was a straightforward place, predators and prey. The mighty ruled, the weak served. The Karathi Empire had flourished on this fundamental truth for 10 millennia. Thaskmore recalled his own first hunt. He had been younger than Vector, barely 8 feet tall, yet already formidable. The prey then had been different, 6-legged green beings that attempted to burrow into the sand. He had unearthed them one by one, relishing their fear. That day he understood his identity, his station in the cosmos. Now he commanded an empire spanning half the galaxy. Hundreds of worlds bowed to Karathi power. Thousands of species existed as sustenance, labor, or diversion. It was the natural order. The strong endured and the weak served their purpose. The arena was being meticulously cleansed. Mechanical drones cleared the remnants while medical teams attended to the few young nobles who had sustained minor injuries. Not from combat, as the prey had been harmless, but from their own zealousness during the chase. "Sir," a communication officer announced, approaching the throne, "we have received dispatches from the Outer Rim Scouts." "Speak," Thaskmore commanded. "Long-range sensors have detected unusual energy signatures from Sector 77-9. It appears to be an uncharted system, exhibiting signs of technological activity." War Commander Zathar stepped forward. "What kind of activity?" "Unidentified, sir. The patterns do not align with any known predator or prey civilizations. The signals suggest advanced technology, yet the energy signatures are peculiar." Thaskmore's interest was piqued. New worlds meant new prey, new hunting grounds. The Empire was in perpetual expansion, constantly annexing fresh territories. Such was the way of predators, to seize what they desired. "Organize an exploration fleet," he ordered. "I wish to ascertain what we are dealing with." "Yes, Emperor. Should we prepare a conquest armada as well?" "Not yet. First, we determine if they are predators or prey. If predators, we negotiate territory. If prey," he gestured towards the arena where cleaning crews were still working, "we add them to our hunting grounds." The communication officer bowed and departed. Prince Vector approached the throne, still spattered with the blue blood of his victims, his eyes alight with the satisfaction of a successful hunt. "Grandfather, will there be more hunts today?" "Not today, young one, but perhaps soon we shall have new quarry against which to hone your skills." The prince's eyes gleamed. "New prey? What are they like?" "We do not yet know, but it is inconsequential. Prey is prey. They all yield before true predators." Taskmore gazed out over his empire's capital city. Massive spires pierced the sky, each a testament to Carathi might. Vessels moved between the towering structures, transporting goods and captives from across the galaxy. At the city's core stood the colossal pyramid, adorned with the skulls of 1,000,000 prey creatures. This was civilization. This was order. The strong governed, the weak served, and everyone knew their place. Other predatory species served in his military and government. The Vorthak, with their collective tactical brilliance, commanded his ground forces. The Skalani, masters of stealth and venom, managed his intelligence networks. The Threnodi, whose sonic assaults could shatter bone, acted as his enforcers. Each species contributed its unique hunting prowess to the Empire. Each understood the fundamental truth of existence. Power defines right. The prey species were also useful in their own way. The Helani were exceptional builders. The Quyth possessed nimble digits ideal for intricate tasks. The Morlocks were strong enough to manipulate heavy equipment. All reproduced rapidly, ensuring a constant supply for both labor and sustenance. It was a flawless system. Predators at the summit, prey at the base, each fulfilling their natural function. "Sir," War Commander Zithgar reported, "the exploration fleet is being assembled. War Commander Velnos will lead the mission." "Good. Instruct her to be thorough. I desire complete scans of the system, population estimates, technological evaluations, military capabilities, everything. And if they resist?" Taskmore's laughter rumbled like distant thunder. "Prey always resists initially. That is what makes the hunt captivating." As the three suns set over the capital, Taskmore remained on his throne, contemplating the enigmatic signals from the outer rim. In 10,000 years of expansion, the Empire had encountered hundreds of species. Some had been fellow predators who assimilated willingly or were conquered. Most had been prey who swiftly learned their subservient role. None had ever presented a genuine challenge. The galaxy was vast, yet it adhered to simple principles. The strong conquered the weak. Predators pursued prey. The natural order was maintained. Tomorrow his scouts would investigate these new signals. Soon he would know if they had discovered new allies or new victims. Either way, the Empire would grow stronger. The Emperor of 1,000 worlds reclined on his throne, dreaming of future hunts. In his mind, he could already hear the cries of whatever creatures awaited in that distant system. He could savor their apprehension, feel their terror as they comprehended their predicament. After all, prey was prey, and predators like him had ruled the galaxy since its inception. Nothing would ever alter that undeniable truth. War Commander Velnos stood on the bridge of her flagship as it emerged from hyperspace. The uncharted system filled the main screen, a yellow star orbited by several planets. The third planet glowed, blue and green, unmistakably teeming with life, boasting oceans and continents. "Sensor report," she commanded. "Massive biological activity on the third planet," her scanner operator reported, detailing millions of diverse species. "The dominant life form appears to be concentrated in large settlements across the planet's surface." Velnos scrutinized the readings. The energy signatures that had drawn their attention originated from this world. Whoever resided here possessed technology, yet the patterns were unlike anything in the Empire's databases. "Display the dominant species." The main screen flickered, presenting images captured by their long-range scanners. Velnos stared in bewilderment. The creatures were small, perhaps 6 feet tall at most. They had soft pink or brown skin, devoid of visible scales, claws, or natural weaponry. Their teeth were tiny, their eyes faced forward like predators, but they lacked genuine fangs. "Are you certain these are the dominant species?" she inquired. "Yes, Commander. They seem to control most of the planet's surface. They've constructed vast cities and possess primitive spacecraft." Velnos shook her head. They resembled prey animals, but prey did not construct cities or develop technology. That was inconceivable. Only predators possessed the intellect and drive necessary for civilization. "Perhaps they are livestock for the true dominant species," her science officer suggested. "Perhaps the genuine predators keep them as we keep the Helani." "Then where are the predators?" Velnos demanded. "I detect no signs of any other intelligent species on this world." The bridge crew exchanged perplexed glances. In 10,000 years of expansion, they had never encountered anything like this. Species were either predators or prey. There was no intermediate category. "Commander," the communications officer called out. "We're receiving transmissions from the planet. Multiple languages, but our computers are beginning to translate them." "What are they saying?" "Most of it appears to be entertainment broadcasts, but some seem to be military communications. They've detected our fleet." Velnos experienced a moment of surprise. Their ships were equipped with the galaxy's finest stealth technology. Prey species had never before been able to detect a Karathi fleet prior to an assault. "Perhaps their sensors are more advanced than anticipated," she mused. "No matter. Follow standard first contact protocol for prey worlds. Dispatch a demonstration fleet to their major population centers. Once they witness our power, they will surrender swiftly." 3 hours later, Karathi warships materialized in the skies above New York, London, Tokyo, and a dozen other major cities. The ships were magnificent, mile-long vessels bristling with weaponry, their dark hulls gleaming in the sunlight. They had been engineered to instill terror, and they had never failed. Velnos monitored the surface feeds, anticipating the usual reaction. Panic in the streets, governments calling for immediate capitulation, military forces laying down their arms. It was the same pattern on every prey world. Instead, she witnessed something impossible. The creatures, humans according to their intercepted communications, were not surrendering. Military forces were mobilizing. Fighter aircraft were launching from bases worldwide. Ships were moving into defensive positions. "Commander," her weapons officer reported, "we're being targeted by multiple surface-based weapon systems." "Impossible," Velnos declared. "They are prey animals. They lack the courage to—" Her words were cut short as the first missiles struck her demonstration fleet. The humans had somehow coordinated attacks from multiple locations simultaneously, timing their strikes to impact several ships at once. 2 Karathi destroyers sustained heavy damage. One of them actually plunged into the ocean near what the humans called Japan. "Return fire," Velnos ordered. "Show them what transpires when prey assails predators." The Karathi ships unleashed their plasma cannons, targeting the human military bases. Buildings erupted in superheated gas, but instead of fleeing in terror, the humans continued to fight. More missiles streaked towards the Karathi ships. Fighter aircraft swarmed around them like enraged insects. Velnos watched in escalating bewilderment as something unprecedented unfolded. The humans were employing coordinated tactics. They fought like a collective, each unit supporting the others. But only predator species fought in coordinated collectives. Prey animals fled or concealed themselves. They did not organize resistance. "Commander," her science officer called out, "the humans have shot down another of our ships." Velnos turned to stare at him. "What did you say?" "The destroyer Fang of Kor has been obliterated. The humans utilized some form of electronic warfare to disable its shields, then struck it with coordinated missile barrages." This was impossible. In 10,000 years of conquest, no prey species had ever destroyed a Karathi warship. Not one. Prey lacked the intelligence, the valor, or the coordination required to bring down a predator vessel. "All ships withdraw to a safe distance," she ordered. "I require time to strategize." The Karathi fleet retreated to the edge of the solar system. Velnos stared at the tactical displays, striving to comprehend what she had just witnessed. The humans had fought like predators, yet they resembled prey. They had employed advanced tactics and coordination, yet they possessed no natural weapons. "Capture some of them," she finally decided. "Bring me live specimens. I need to understand what we are confronting." The following day, Karathi stealth ships landed near isolated human settlements. They anticipated effortless captures, bewildered, terrified prey animals who would submit without resistance. Instead, they discovered humans who fought like cornered predators. Even when outnumbered and outgunned, they did not flee. They established defensive positions, coordinated their fire, and battled to protect one another. Most unsettling of all, they exhibited collective loyalty. Humans would risk their lives to save other humans, even those they barely knew. That was predator behavior. Prey animals looked out for themselves. Eventually, the Karathi managed to capture a dozen human soldiers, but it cost them more casualties than any prey-gathering mission in their history. 3 Karathi warriors were killed and 7 more were wounded. The prisoners were brought to Velnos for interrogation. She observed them through the energy cage that contained them. They were definitively prey-like in appearance. Soft skin, small teeth, no claws or scales. But their eyes held something she had never before seen in prey. They were not afraid. Oh, they were scared. She could smell their adrenaline and hear their rapid heartbeats, but they were not terrified into submission, as proper prey should be. They watched her with calculating eyes, seeking vulnerabilities, planning escape attempts. "What are you?" she asked them through the translation device. One of the prisoners, a female with short brown hair, stepped forward. "We're humans, and you just made a big mistake." "You are prey animals," Velnos stated. "Your species exhibits all the biological markers of a prey race, yet you fight like predators. How is this possible?" The human smiled, revealing those tiny, harmless teeth. "Maybe your biology lessons are flawed. Maybe there's a third option you never considered." Velnos felt a chill course down her spine. In the Empire's entire history, there had only been two types of species: predators who ruled and prey who served. The notion that there might be something else was impossible to accept. "You will serve the Empire," she informed the prisoners. "Your world will become a hunting ground. Your people will learn their proper place in the natural order." The female human laughed. "You really don't grasp what you're dealing with, do you? We're not going to serve anyone, and we're not going to let you harm our people. You have no choice. You're prey." "No," the human said, still smiling. "We're not prey. We're not predators either. In the way you understand them, we're something your empire has never encountered before. We're humans, and we're about to show you what that means." Velnos departed the prisoners and returned to her command center. She had to report to Emperor Thasmor, but she was unsure what to tell him. How could she explain that they had discovered prey animals who fought like predators? How could she describe creatures who exhibited collective loyalty, but possessed no natural weapons? "Open a channel to Apex Prime," she ordered. When the Emperor's image appeared on her screen, Velnos took a deep breath. "Your Majesty, I have encountered the unknown species. Are they predators or prey?" Velnos hesitated. I'm not certain, Your Majesty. They appear to be prey animals, but they fight like predators. They've actually destroyed several of our ships." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Prey animals destroyed Carathi warships?" "Yes, Your Majesty. They fight in coordinated groups and exhibit collective loyalty behaviors. They appear to be broken somehow, neither fully predator nor fully prey." For a long moment, the Emperor remained silent. Then his voice came through, calm, cold, and dangerous. "Broken things are often the most perilous. Bring me more information, War Commander. I need to understand what we are facing." The transmission ended, leaving Velnos alone with her confusion and growing unease. In the holding cells below, the human prisoners were already plotting their escape. Something told her that this was just the beginning. Emperor Thasmor stood before the War Council in his grand hall. A holographic display of the human homeworld spun slowly in the center of the room. Around the table sat the Empire's greatest military minds, war commanders from every major predatory species. "These humans have destroyed 7 of our ships," he announced. "They fight like predators but appear to be prey. I demand explanations." War Commander Zathar activated his own display. "Our analysis suggests they are a malformed species, Your Majesty. Their biology indicates prey evolution, but their behavior suggests predator psychology. They may be the result of some evolutionary anomaly." "Anomalies don't destroy Carathi warships," growled a commander from across the table. War Commander Hiska of the Skalani spoke up, her voice soft but lethal. "Perhaps they were engineered by another predator species created as weapons. We've found no evidence of any other intelligent species in their system," Star countered. "They appear to have developed on their own." Thasmor studied the rotating image of Earth. "Then we will treat them as a predator threat. Mobilize a conquest armada, 500 ships. I want this mystery solved and this threat eliminated." The War Council dispersed to prepare for the largest military operation in decades. But in a research lab on War Commander Velnos's flagship, Dr. Elar was making discoveries that would alter everything. The Carathi scientist examined tissue, samples from the captured humans under her most powerful microscopes. What she found defied all her understanding of evolution and biology. The humans exhibited all the physical markers of prey species: soft skin, small teeth, no natural weapons. But their brain structure was different. The areas controlling collective coordination were massively overdeveloped. The regions handling fear response were smaller than in most prey, but the sections processing protective instincts were enormous. "They're not predators as we understand them," she murmured to herself. "But they're not prey either. They're something else entirely." She pulled up comparative brain scans from other species in the Empire. Predator brains showed large areas dedicated to individual survival, hunting instincts, and dominance behaviors. Prey brains emphasized fear responses, escape reflexes, and individual flight patterns. Human brains were different. They had small individual survival centers but massive areas devoted to group coordination, long-term planning, and, most surprisingly, empathy responses toward other species. "This is impossible," she whispered. But the evidence was right there in front of her. Meanwhile, on Earth, something unprecedented was unfolding. For the first time in human history, every nation was cooperating. The alien attack had achieved what centuries of diplomacy could not. It had united the species against a common threat. In underground bunkers worldwide, human scientists frantically worked to decipher the captured alien technology. In military bases, soldiers trained for a war unlike any in human history. In factories, assembly lines that once built cars and computers now produced weapons and spacecraft. President Chen of the United Earth Council addressed the world from her command bunker. "We now know we are not alone in the universe. We also know that the galaxy contains species who view us as nothing more than prey animals to be hunted for sport." Footage from the captured Carathi ship showed the arena on Apex Prime, the hunting ceremonies, the billions of beings kept as livestock across the Empire. Humanity had learned that first contact was not with fellow explorers or peaceful neighbors. It was with the galaxy's apex predators. "They think we're prey," President Chen continued. "They think we'll submit to them like every other species they've conquered. They're about to learn they made a mistake." Colonel Sarah Chen, the president's daughter and a distinguished military officer, stood in the briefing room of Lunar Command. Earth's moon had been transformed into the largest military base in human history. She studied the intelligence reports from the captured aliens. "They're bringing 500 ships," reported General Martinez. "Our scouts confirm a massive fleet moving toward Earth." "Good," Sarah said. "Let them come." General Martinez looked at her in surprise. "Sarah, we barely survived their first attack. This is their main fleet." Sarah smiled grimly. "The first attack taught us something important, sir. They don't know how to fight us. They expected us to surrender like their other victims. They expected prey behavior." She activated the tactical display. "They fight like individual predators. Each ship operates independently. Each warrior seeks personal glory. They're designed to hunt scattered, terrified prey. And we're not scattered or terrified," Martinez realized. "Exactly. We fight as a unit. Every ship, every pilot, every soldier operates as part of a larger organism. They've never faced anything like that." 3 weeks later, the Carathi conquest armada arrived at Earth. Emperor Thaskmore himself commanded the fleet from his colossal flagship. He anticipated a routine conquest, overwhelming force applied to a bewildered prey species. Instead, he found Earth's entire solar system transformed into a fortress. The humans had utilized the time wisely. The asteroid belt bristled with weapon platforms. Jupiter's moons housed immense shipyards where human vessels rolled off production lines continuously. Mars had become a forward military base. Most shocking of all, the human fleet was waiting for them. Where the first encounter had featured a few hundred human aircraft, now there were thousands of ships. They were not as large or powerful as Carathi vessels individually, but they moved with perfect coordination. "Your Majesty," his sensor operator reported, "the human fleet is moving in perfect formation. Every ship responds to course changes simultaneously. It's like they share a single mind." Thaskmore studied the tactical display. The human ships moved like a school of fish or a flock of birds, thousands of individual units acting as one organism. It was predator collective behavior taken to an impossible extreme. "Attack formation," he ordered. Show them the might of the Empire. The Karathi fleet spread out in hunting formation, each ship seeking individual targets. But as they approached, something unexpected happened. The human ships began to dance. They moved in three-dimensional spirals around the Karathi fleet, remaining just outside optimal weapons range while launching coordinated missile strikes. When the Karathi ships turned to pursue individual targets, they found themselves flying into crossfire from multiple directions. They're using our hunting instincts against us, Thaskmore realized with growing horror. Every time we pursue one target, we expose ourselves to the others. The Battle of Luna lasted 6 hours. When it was over, nearly half the Karathi fleet was destroyed or disabled. The humans had lost ships too, but they had won a decisive victory. Thaskmore retreated with the survivors, his mind reeling. In 10,000 years of conquest, the Empire had never suffered a defeat like this. How had prey animals destroyed the greatest fleet in galactic history? Back in her laboratory, Dr. Alar was beginning to understand. She had been studying the captured human soldiers, and what she learned terrified her. They're persistence hunters, she said to War Commander Velnos. Do you comprehend what that implies? Explain. Most predators are ambush hunters or pursuit hunters. They rely on speed, strength, or stealth to take down prey quickly, but persistence hunters are different. They chase their prey over long distances, wearing them down through endurance and coordination. Velnos frowned. So they're just another type of predator. No, Dr. Veltar's voice was urgent. You don't understand. Persistence hunters on most worlds are individuals, but humans evolved pack persistence hunting. They coordinate groups across vast distances and long time periods. And here's the terrifying part. They can extend pack loyalty to other species. What do you mean? Dr. Veltar pulled up recordings from the battle. Watch how they fight. They don't just protect other humans. Their pilots died protecting spacecraft from the liberated worlds we passed through. They extended their pack instincts to include beings they'd never met before. The implications struck Velnos like a physical blow. You mean they could turn our prey species against us? Worse than that, Dr. Veltar whispered. They could turn the entire galaxy into their pack. They're not just another predator species. They're something that could end the natural order itself. On Earth, President Chen was addressing the United Nations once more. Behind her, the holographic display showed not just Earth, but images from throughout the galaxy. The prey species in their enclosures, the hunting ceremonies, the billions of beings living in servitude. We've learned that Earth is not the first world they've attacked, she said. There are hundreds of species throughout the galaxy living as their prey. Some have been enslaved for thousands of years, she paused, allowing that to sink in. We have a choice. We can fortify our own world and hope they leave us alone. Or we can do what humans have always done when faced with bullies and enslavers. We can fight back, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. The vote was unanimous. Humanity had discovered its purpose in the galaxy. They weren't just going to defend Earth. They were going to liberate everyone. The war for the galaxy was about to begin, and the Karathi Empire had no idea what they had awakened. The first liberation commenced on a world called Helix 7, 3 months after the Battle of Luna. War Commander Vorak was overseeing the monthly culling ceremony when the impossible happened. His prey animals fought back. The Helani had been exemplary prey for 800 years. Four-armed, blue-skinned, and inherently docile, they constructed the Empire's grandest structures and reproduced rapidly enough to furnish both labor and sustenance. They had never exhibited any signs of insurgency. But that morning, as the selection process for the monthly hunt began, the Helani workers did not line up submissively as they always had. Instead, they formed defensive groups and refused to cooperate. What is the meaning of this? Vorak demanded of the Helani work leader. You will select the tribute for today's hunt, or we will select for you. The Helani raised all 4 of his arms in a gesture Vorak had never seen before. No more hunts, no more tributes. We have learned that prey can become predators. Before Vorak could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Human ships had appeared in orbit, broadcasting a message on all frequencies. People of Helix 7, came the voice of Colonel Sarah Chen. This is the Human Liberation Fleet. You are not alone anymore. Today your slavery ends. Vorak watched in horror as human soldiers landed throughout his compound. But they were not attacking the Karathi installations first. They were freeing the Helani prisoners. establishing defensive positions around the civilian areas, and distributing weapons to creatures who had been prey for 8 centuries. The liberation of Helix 7 lasted 3 days. When it was over, every Karathi on the planet was dead and the Helani were free. But most disturbing to the Empire was how it had transpired. The humans fought differently than any predator species in galactic history. Individual human soldiers died protecting Helani civilians they had never met. Human pilots crashed their ships into Karathi positions to prevent harm to alien prey species. They fought with the coordination of a collective mind, yet with the individual sacrifice of the most devoted collective hunters. Emperor Thaskmore studied the battle reports from his throne room, trying to grasp what he was confronting. They treat every intelligent being as part of their pack, he said to War Commander Zuthgar. How is this possible? Dr. Veltar believes it relates to their evolution, Zuthgar replied. They developed empathy as a survival trait, but instead of confining it to their own species, they can extend it to any intelligent being. That should make them weaker, not stronger. Caring about prey is a predator's greatest vulnerability. Normally, yes, but humans have transformed it into their greatest strength. They fight harder when protecting others than when protecting themselves, and every species they liberate becomes part of their coordinated force. The reports continued to pour in. Rebellion on Scalier Prime, where the bat-like Throne had refused to continue their mining operations. Uprising on Vorak Nest, where the insectoid Quith had overwhelmed their guards using tactics they had learned from intercepted human broadcasts. Liberation fleets appearing at a dozen worlds simultaneously, each freeing another prey species. But the worst report came from Dr. Veltar herself. She had been studying captured human soldiers on multiple worlds, and her findings were terrifying. Your Majesty, she said via hologram from her research station, I have determined how the humans are spreading their resistance. They're not just freeing our prey species, they're teaching them. Teaching them what? How to be human. The Emperor's massive form shifted on his throne. Explain. Humans have a concept they call human rights, the idea that all intelligent beings deserve freedom, dignity, and protection. But they don't limit this to their own species. When they encounter any intelligent being, they immediately extend these rights to them. Dr. Veltar activated a recording showing human soldiers on Helix 7. They were assisting Helani children who had been injured during the fighting, sharing their food with elderly Helani too weak to work, and teaching young Helani how to read. They're making our prey species think like humans, she continued. Teaching them to value freedom, to coordinate resistance, to protect the weak. But most importantly, they're teaching them that they have the right to fight back. Thaskmore watched the recording in growing horror. The humans weren't just conquering worlds. They were altering the fundamental nature of the galaxy itself. They were transforming prey into something new. How many worlds have they liberated? 47 as of this morning. And the rebellions are spreading faster than they can reach new systems. Species who have never met humans are rising up because they've heard the liberation broadcasts. The Emperor stood and walked to the grand window overlooking his capital city. Below, he could see Karathi citizens going about their daily lives, unaware that their entire civilization was under threat. They still believed in the natural order. Predators ruled, prey served, and nothing would ever change. Double the guard on all breeding worlds, he ordered, and begin recruitment from the outer colonies. If the humans want a war for the entire galaxy, they'll have one. But even as he gave the orders, Thaskmore knew that traditional tactics wouldn't work against an enemy like this. The humans weren't trying to replace the Empire with their own dominance. They were trying to abolish the concept of dominance entirely. On the liberated world of Sorrow's End, formerly a Karathi hunting preserve, Colonel Chen stood before a gathering of freed creatures from a dozen different species. Helani workers, Quith miners, Throny scouts, and others who had lived as prey for generations. I know this is all new and frightening, she said through the universal translator the humans had developed. You've lived under their rule for so long that freedom itself seems impossible. But I want you to understand something important. You were never really prey. An elderly Helani raised one of his forearms. But we are weak. We have no claws, no natural weapons. How can we fight the predators? Sarah smiled. The same way humans learned to fight them. Not with claws or fangs, but with something more powerful. Cooperation. When you work together, when you protect each other, When you refuse to let anyone harm your people, you become stronger than any individual predator. She gestured to the mixed group before her. Look around you. Helani and Quith and Threnody working together. Your former masters kept you separated because they knew that together you were dangerous to them. They were right to be afraid. Over the following weeks, something unprecedented happened throughout the liberated territories. Species that had been bred for docility began to change, not physically, that would take generations, but psychologically. They began to think of themselves as beings with rights rather than property. Helani engineers designed new defensive fortifications. Quith technicians developed better communication systems. Threnody scouts provided intelligence on remaining Karathi positions. Most importantly, they all began to see themselves as part of a larger community, one that included not just their own species, but all intelligent life. The transformation wasn't limited to former prey species. On worlds throughout Karathi space, predator species began to question the natural order. Young Skalani assassins refused orders to hunt sentient beings. Vorthok soldiers deserted rather than participate in culling ceremonies. Even some Karathi began to wonder if their empire was built on a falsehood. Dr. Veltar documented all of it from her mobile laboratory. She had become obsessed with understanding the humans, and what she learned filled her with a mixture of terror and fascination. They're not trying to become the new apex predators, she reported to War Commander Zathar. They're trying to eliminate the concept of apex predators entirely. They want to create a galaxy where no species dominates others. That's impossible, Star replied. The strong will always rule the weak. It's the way of nature, is it? Look at what they've accomplished. 47 worlds liberated, hundreds of species working together, an entire section of our territory in open rebellion. They've done all of this not through individual strength but through cooperation. Dr. Veltar pulled up her analysis of human psychology. I've identified the key difference between humans and every other species we've encountered. We think in terms of us versus them, predator versus prey, strong versus weak, our species versus other species. But humans think in terms of us versus the problem. What do you mean? When humans see suffering, they don't ask, is this my species suffering? They ask, how do we stop the suffering? When they see injustice, they don't ask, does this affect my people? They ask, how do we fix this? They've extended their pack loyalty to include every intelligent being in the galaxy. The implications were staggering. If humans could teach other species to think the same way, the Empire's entire foundation would crumble. The natural order that had governed the galaxy for millennia would be replaced by something entirely new. They're not conquering us, Dr. Veltar whispered. They're converting us, and I'm not sure we can stop them. Meanwhile, Emperor Thaskmore was learning the same lesson from his military commanders. Every battle report brought worse news, not just defeats, but defections. Not just liberated worlds, but transformed civilizations. The humans were doing more than winning a war. They were changing what it meant to be intelligent life in the galaxy. The final battle began not with a massive fleet engagement, but with a single transmission broadcast across every world in the Karathi Empire. Emperor Thaskmore listened to it from his throne on Apex Prime, surrounded by the last of his loyal forces. People of the galaxy, came the voice of President Chen from Earth. This is a message for every intelligent being, predator and prey alike. The age of domination is ending. Today, we offer you a choice. The transmission showed images from hundreds of liberated worlds, former prey species working alongside their liberators, building new civilizations based on cooperation rather than conquest. Predator species who had abandoned the hunt to join the growing alliance. You can continue to live by the old rules, the strong ruling the weak, predators hunting prey, might making right. Or you can join us in building something new, a galaxy where every intelligent being has value, where strength is used to protect rather than exploit, where no one is prey. Thaskmore shut off the transmission, but he knew it was too late. The message was being received on every world, in every language, by every species, and worse, many of them were listening. Your Majesty, War Commander Thar approached the throne. The human fleet has been detected at the edge of our system, but they're not alone. The tactical display activated, showing the approaching armada. Thaskmore stared in disbelief. The fleet stretched across thousands of miles of space. But it wasn't just human ships. Vessels from dozens of species flew in perfect formation. Halani construction ships converted to carriers, Quyth mining vessels equipped with weapons, even some Skalani stealth craft and Vorthok collective ships. "How many ship?" he asked. "Over 10,000, Your Majesty. And they're moving in perfect coordination." Perfect coordination. That was the key to everything the humans had accomplished. Individual predators, no matter how powerful, couldn't match the coordinated effort of hundreds of species working together. "We still have the planetary defense grid," Star continued. "Apex Prime has never fallen to any attack." But even as he spoke, reports were coming in from across the planet. Uprisings in the prey quarters, predator nobles refusing orders to fight, entire military units laying down their weapons and requesting safe passage off-world. The Empire was collapsing from within. "I want to speak with their leader," Taskmore announced, face to face. "If they want to end this war, they can face me in personal combat." The request was transmitted to the approaching fleet. To everyone's surprise, it was accepted. 2 hours later, Colonel Sarah Chen stood in the Emperor's throne room. She had come alone as tradition demanded, carrying only her sidearm and wearing standard military dress. Around the vast hall, Karathi nobles watched from the shadows, eager to see their Emperor destroy this small human female. Taskmore studied her as she approached. She was even smaller than he had expected, barely 6 feet tall, perhaps 150 pounds. No claws, no fangs, no scales for protection. She looked like the perfect prey animal, but her eyes held no fear. She looked at him with the calm confidence of a predator who knew exactly what she was doing. "You wanted to meet me," she said simply. "Here I am." "I wanted to understand what we're facing," Taskmore replied, rising from his throne. At his full height, he towered over her, a 12-ton mountain of muscle, claws, and teeth. "You've destroyed an empire that has ruled for 10,000 years. I need to know how." Sarah looked around the throne room, taking in the displays of conquered worlds, the skulls of prey species, the monuments to Karathi dominance. "You want to know how we beat you? You beat yourselves. Explain. You built your entire civilization on a lie. You told yourselves that might makes right, that the strong deserve to rule the weak, that predators are naturally superior to prey. But you forgot something important." She stepped closer, unafraid of his massive form. "You forgot that intelligence changes everything. When you gave your prey species the ability to think, to communicate, to understand their situation, you gave them the tools to free themselves. You just made sure they never learned how to use those tools. And you taught them. We showed them what they already had. Every intelligent being has the capacity for cooperation, for protecting others, for choosing what's right over what's easy. You spent thousands of years teaching them they were helpless. We spent a few months showing them they were strong." Taskmore felt rage building in his chest. This small creature was lecturing him about strength, about the natural order. "You think your philosophy can stand against raw power?" he snarled. "Let me show you what real predators are capable of." He activated the combat arena controls, and the floor around them shifted, creating a circular fighting space. The watching nobles moved closer, eager to see their Emperor tear apart this insolent prey animal. "Single combat," Taskmore announced. "If you win, my forces will surrender. If I win, your fleet withdraws and never returns to our space." Sarah nodded calmly. "Agreed." The combat began immediately. Taskmore lunged forward with predatory speed, claws extended to tear through her soft human flesh. But Sarah wasn't there when his claws arrived. She had rolled aside, drawing her sidearm and firing 3 shots into his flank. The energy bolts barely scratched his armored scales, but they got his attention. He spun toward her, electromagnetic sensors tracking her movement. She was fast for a prey animal, but not fast enough to escape a true predator. He pounced again and again. She evaded him. But this time she had pulled something from her belt, a small device that she threw at his feet. It exploded in a burst of intense light, temporarily blinding his enhanced senses. By the time his vision cleared, she had climbed onto his back and was doing something to the base of his skull. He felt a brief sting, then nothing. "Neural disruptor," she explained as he collapsed, paralyzed but conscious. "We developed it specifically for dealing with larger predator species. Non-lethal but effective." She stood over his prone form, looking down at the mightiest predator in the galaxy. "You want to know the difference between us? You fight for dominance. We fight for survival. You fight alone. We fight together. You fight to prove you're stronger. We fight to protect everyone who can't protect themselves." The watching nobles shifted restlessly. Their emperor had been defeated by a tiny prey animal using tools and tactics. It was impossible, but it had happened before their eyes. But most importantly, Sarah continued, you fight because you enjoy it. We fight because we have to. And we're very, very good at things we have to do. The paralysis wore off after a few minutes, but Thaskmore made no move to continue the fight. He had learned what he needed to know. The humans weren't just another predator species trying to replace his empire. They were something entirely new. Predators who hunted cruelty itself. What happens now? He asked. That's up to you. You can keep fighting. Keep trying to hold on to the old ways and watch your civilization destroy itself. Or you can help us build something better. And what would that be? Sarah activated a small holographic projector, showing him images from the liberated worlds. Former predator and prey species working together, building new cities, exploring new worlds, creating art and literature and music together. We call it the Terran Accord. Every intelligent species has a voice. Every being has rights that can't be taken away. Strength is used to protect the weak, not exploit them. And no one, no individual, no species, no empire gets to decide that others exist only to serve them. Thaskmore stared at the images. It was everything his civilization had been built to prevent. The natural order completely overturned. Prey and predator as equals. This is madness, he whispered. Maybe, Sarah admitted. But it's the kind of madness that turns slaves into citizens, prey into people, and enemies into allies. It's the kind of madness that says every life has value, that every being deserves a chance at happiness, that cooperation is stronger than domination. She knelt beside him, speaking quietly. Your empire ruled through fear because you never met anything that was more afraid for others than for itself. But humans have been protecting each other since before we had claws or fangs or scales. We learned that the pack survives when every member of the pack matters. Even former enemies, Sarah smiled, especially former enemies. Because if you can turn an enemy into an ally, you've just doubled your strength. Over the following hours, reports came in from across the galaxy. Karathi fleets were surrendering. Predator nobles were requesting amnesty in exchange for helping liberate their own prey populations. Entire worlds were declaring their intention to join the Terran Accord. The age of predators and prey was ending. Something new was beginning. Emperor Thaskmore stood on the balcony of his palace looking out over Apex Prime for the last time as its ruler. Tomorrow, he would be just another citizen of the new galactic community. The thought terrified him, but it also filled him with something he had never felt before, curiosity about what came next. Behind him, Sarah Chen worked with former Karathi officials to plan the transition. She moved among them easily, treating former enemies as potential partners, showing them the same respect she showed her own people. How do you do it? Thaskmore asked her. How do you trust beings who were trying to kill you yesterday? Because, Sarah replied, we believe that everyone can change. Everyone can choose to be better than they were.